Okay, I got the new single end mount Storms put on. They really are better than the ones that are mounted on just the handlebar because you don't have a problem with any nuts or bolts hitting on down here. However, because those of us that have done a lot of different things to our bikes, we've moved our mirrors out to put the other style on, and of course everything you move on this painted version scratches everything. I wish they would have chromed this, and I see I can get a chrome handlebar for this, and I may get one because it's getting scratched up with moving stuff around. But anyway, I was able to move my mirror back over so I get more reach out past my shoulders. And this new Storm is quite a bit larger than the little red ones that I had on there before. More height, so it'll give you more protection against bugs getting up your sleeve and more wind protection. So I think it's going to be a much better unit. One of the guys online, I think it was BMW Zen Rider, got some $32 ones or $34 ones, whatever they were, off Amazon that look almost the same as these, and I wished we'd have found those before I got these. However, they are the bar mount style, so these are going to be better. Now, the problem with putting these on, of course, is the fact that the mount, the threaded mount in this bike, which in my other video you saw me take these out, it spins around and around, so you can't put this style of mount on because it just falls down, of course. So what I did was I sent away to Cycle World, or Cycle Gear, I guess it is, Cycle Gear, and I got some of the inserts, a pair of those that go in your handlebar end and tighten down to give you a solid lock on this. Now, you give up your bar end weights. Personally, I have never been able to feel any vibration difference with bikes with bar end weights or when you take them off. But if you use this method, you're going to have to give up the bar end weights because the threaded mounts that were there before are 6mm, and as are the heavy bar end weights that I got from my Vespa are 6mm. However, these mounts are 8mm. So if you want to use your Honda or any other bar end weight, you might want to grind that off flat because it doesn't need this little lip here to catch on the threaded insert that it used to have, but it probably won't make any difference if you leave that on there. Anyway, you'd have to drill this out to 8mm, and then you could probably use one of the longer bolts, although I don't think they're long enough. They're really not much longer, a couple of millimeters, than the ones that come with this. So you're going to want to search for a longer bolt that will reach all the way through. Now, if you were able to use your 6mm, this is a little bit longer bolt yet. Maybe it only looks longer. No, it is a little longer than that one. You could probably use that with these small ones that wouldn't work with the bigger Vespa ones that I had on. But if I went and got some longer bolts, I could then go through the I could go through this, then through the bar end weights, and then it would, as you tighten this up, it would tighten into that, and you could have bar end weights. So I could do that. If I feel that I need later to put bar end weights on it, I'll just drill out those Honda ones to 8mm and go find some longer bolts, and it'll all work just fine. But for now, I'm just going to put this on and see if there's any vibration that's going to drive me crazy. So anyway, it took me a while to figure this out, but I got that one on. So I didn't video putting on the first one because it was a trial and error thing. But now it's time to do the throttle side. And so I'll put this one on video so you can see how it goes. All I did here was I rolled back the rubber so that I can get at this. So we'll take it from there. Well, first we have to assemble the Storm, and it's very simple. That piece goes in there like that. Then you've got this little piece right here that, let's see if I can show you this. It'll only go in one way. If you put it in the wrong way, it doesn't fit level on the top. Now this way is the right way with this tapered end facing the inside. If you turn it around the other way, then the holes are at the wrong angle. So now we'll put a couple of screws in that. You can feel them when they bottom out. You don't need to tighten them any more than just bottoming out. On the back side, it almost lines up with a hole. It's a little offside. They could have drilled that hole in a little bit different spot, but you can probably get the screw started, and that just screws right directly into the metal. And it's a tight screw. You got to make your own threads. Okay, that's ready to assemble. This you'll put on the end of the handlebar, and this goes through it like that, and then it goes through this part that expands, which will expand inside of that, and this will tighten out against the handlebar. This is a little expansion nut that screws onto there. So as you screw that down, this spreads out, which then spreads this out. It tightens up very well. But because these are 18mm and they're very hard to find, they're always out of them. Cycle Gear's always out of them. On eBay, everybody's out of them. And our handlebars are 17.55mm. So they don't make a 17. They don't make a 17.5. So you have to get an 18, and then you use a little rubber mallet to tap these in. So they'll be nice and tight, but they're not a real easy fit. So let's go tap this into the handlebar. Remember to put it in with the slotted ends into the handlebar, because that's the part that has to expand. Not real easy to get it started, but after you do, it'll go right in. And it only has to be approximately flush. Got to remember that this has to be able to turn. Okay, we'll start the nut on that, the expansion nut. Then that slides into there. Okay, we still got plenty of room there. This is normally horizontal. Now on this side, we do have a clearance problem. This needs to come out farther. So we've got spacers that came with this. I'm going to take that apart and put some spacers in. Okay, put a little spacer on the end of this and a slightly longer bolt through it. So let's see if that'll work. Won't tighten that down yet. Yep, that should give us enough space. That should work. Now we've got a little screw here. Now you've got 2 hole positions, so you can choose how close you want that to your front brake lever. There or there. Good and solid. Now instead of putting this spacer in here, we could have loosened this bracket with the brake lever in it and moved it back out where we had it when we had the other bracket between the mirror mount in there. But I don't really want the mirror any further inward. The whole idea with going with this is so that I could get my mirrors further out. Nothing hits. Looks good and solid. So anyway, there's how we installed the Storms. I may do a little adjustment on them yet, but the cable, I'm going to loosen that nut and flip this up a little bit more to get that out of the way so nothing is rubbing there. And I know the video that I made with all the accessories that I put on it, and I said I was about done, although I said I'd like to have that new Opmid speedometer, but it was way too expensive, and I'd probably never get it. But I got a chance to sell my motorcycle lift, and I had more than enough money to get this speedometer that I really wanted, and this has been the best upgrade I've done to the bike. So, and I did a video on that. Anyway, so I wasn't done when I said I thought I was. I've added a few other things. I put the speedometer on, then I put a front rack on, and then I bought a Wald, W-A-L-D, the largest manufacturer of bicycle baskets in the world. The number 337, Wald 337, I put that on there. And I made it quick release. All I have to do is remove 2 nuts. I made a custom threaded bar to fit behind the rack right there. And I rebent. These 2 things are made to go over the handlebars on a bike. But I moved that one from here over to here. And then I rebent it so it hooks around the bottom of this. So first I put the basket on and hook this over it. Then I set the basket down on here and slide the threaded rod through there, put 2 nuts on, Makes it real easy to take off if I decide I want the flat rack. And then one of the guys on the forum had accidentally bought 2 of these center racks. So he sold me this one for $100 shipped. So that's the Moto Skill one. So then I ordered an IFAC bag to put on there, which I have my first aid kit in there. And then I got a couple of the water bottles, like one of the other guys had, which he had mounted down on here and hung down the side. But I didn't like that because right away it started rubbing the plastic here, and that was going to look really bad. And also my knees touched on them. So I moved them up to the little side mounts, the headlight mounts up here. And they work just fine up there. They don't rub on anything, not going to hurt anything. And you put your water bottles in them, and they're solidly mounted. And then, of course, I just now added the storms. So if you remember from other video, I put the mirror extensions on, and I put the handlebar risers on to get the handlebars taller. I'll just do a quick walkthrough of the things I talked about on the other video so you can see everything I've put on it at once. I am done now, by the way. I have nothing else that I want. I had put this tachometer, hour meter on there, and I'm not going to take it off because the hour meter is the hours since I got the bike. And the hour meter on the new Opmid, they don't allow you to reset it to the hours that you've got. They let you reset your odometer, so that's correct. But you can't reset the hours. So I'm going to use the hour meter on this to keep track of my hours. Of course, I have the RAM mount for my phone, to hold my phone on. I love that mount. Oh, also, I just got my 41 tooth rear sprocket. JK doesn't fit very well. It's too thick. The factory sprocket is 125,000. This is 225,000. So you have very little bolt sticking out the end of your lock nut, but it works. You also have to do a little machining where the nuts turn down on there. They hit a little ledge, and you need to machine out a little spot out of each one of those so that the nut can turn freely. Otherwise, it hangs up when you're trying to tighten it down. I'm running the 13 tooth front right now, so I've got a 3.15 gear ratio. And it's very high RPMs out on the road, but it's really got a ton of power. The get up and go, the pickup is just remarkable. So I'm going to leave that on there for a little while. I'm going to go do some more hill climbing. Then I may go back to the 14 tooth, which will give me a 293 gear ratio. The original sprockets were 279 gear ratio with a 14 front, 39 rear. Then when most of us went to a 13 front, that gave us a 3.0. So if I put a 14 on this, I'll be at 293. So I'll be kind of between having the 13 tooth on the front and the 14 tooth. So hopefully that'll give a little better highway cruising than the 13 tooth in the front did. And it'll give a little more power off-road than the old 14 tooth that it came with. So anyway, it's a compromise, so we'll have to see how that works. So, and of course I put the rack on here for the gas can, which the rack is actually a saddlebag mount, and I have a GV saddlebag to put on there. If I loosen 2 of those nuts, I can swing this down out of the way, and then I can put my saddlebag on there. I made a mount for the Utopia backrest, and I don't have it on there right now. I put it back on my Vespa for now, but as soon as Bob Beckett gets back from vacation in March, I'm going to order a black one for this. and put that on there. So anyway, that worked out real well, a backrest. And of course, I put the rubber pad on here so that my trunk from my KLR wouldn't rub the paint off and scratch it all up. Everything scratches on this painted bike so easily. And I put the crash bar on the exhaust on this side. And I put a magnetic oil drain plug in it the day I got it. So that's underneath. You know where that is. And I don't think I forgot anything that time. So there it is. Everything's working just exactly the way I want it. Get one of those speedometers. You will love it. It's worth the money. I know it's expensive. It's worth the money. So there's my little red donkey. And everything is on it now the way I wanted it to be initially. And I'm done buying stuff for it now. We'll wait and see how that promise holds out. But I'm thinking about taking this basket off and painting it Honda red. But I haven't decided for sure on that yet. So there you have it, folks. My latest upgrades. And now it's ready to go traveling with as soon as the weather warms up a little bit. I've got 1 or 2 really long rides, all-day rides set up for it. So hopefully I can get another guy that lives about 60 miles from here that's got one to go with me, and we'll make a double CT125 ride. That would be nice to have somebody else to ride with that's got one of these. So we'll talk to you later. Next time.